A sprinkle here, a sprinkle there. It may not seem like a lot, but that dash of salt can do more damage than good if we're not careful. Here with more is UW Health nutritionist Renee Walters. And Renee, the big question, how much is too much when we talk about salt?
That's a good question, Amy, because the recommendation from the American Heart Association has just recently changed. It had been 1,800 milligrams a day, and it's dropped down to 1,500 milligrams a day. And there's a really good reason for that. Research. It's just basically saying that the more we get, the more chance of blood pressure, which leads to heart disease, and that's why it's a pretty important nutrient to keep an eye on.
All right, now we brought some goodies along with us, things that many of us eat every day, but they are, hiding a lot of salt that we may not even realize.
Sure, they can. But for kind of demonstration purposes, so if we say that 1,500 is the amount that you need in a day, take a guess at how much is in a teaspoon.
I'd say more than that
say more?
recommended amount.
It's about 2,300 in 1 teaspoon of sodium. So one teaspoon's got 2,300. We're supposed to consume less than 1,500 in a day.
Wow.
So that kind of give you an idea of how much is a lot. To get into the products themselves, ramen noodles, obviously something that's pretty cheap and inexpensive, but it's going to carry a lot of sodium. We're looking at about 800 milligrams for a serving. And the package has 2 servings. So if you have the whole package, we're looking at 1,600 for the whole thing of ramen. Low sodium chicken noodle soup.
Yeah, staple.
What would you guess?
I'm afraid to guess because it's something many of us probably eat all the time, especially when we want some comfort food.
Well, and it's kind of misleading too. It says
low
25%
sodium.
less sodium. So about 1650 for the whole can. Now, obviously the serving size is more around half a cup, which would be 2.5 in the can. But that's still a lot if you're going to have the whole can. So
let's be honest, who just eats a half a cup of chicken noodle
exactly.
soup?
It's usually, well,
I don't.
In that regard, how much spaghetti sauce do you usually put on your noodles? Do you put half a cup or do you put a full cup?
I don't know. I just heap it on there till it looks good.
Well, a full cup is pretty normal, and there's nothing wrong with that, but knowing how much you're taking in is pretty important. And in this particular brand, we're looking at 980 for a full cup of sodium. A full cup of spaghetti sauce with 980 milligrams of salt. The final one is probably the one that we may not think of that much, but it would be deli meat. 2 ounces, about 510, which doesn't sound that bad, but if you add in a little bit of salt from the bread, you could be getting 700 to 800 milligrams in one sandwich. That's about half of what you need in the day.
Yeah, that all adds up so quickly if you think about it.
It does. We haven't even scraped the surface in terms of fast food.
Oh, let's not even go there, right?
Do you want to take a guess which has more, a Big Mac or a quarter pounder with cheese?
I would go with a Big Mac because there's a lot more on that.
Okay. Big Mac's like $9.70 and a quarter pounder's about $1,100.
Oh, wow.
What happens if we add bacon?
Way too high.
We're at $1,400 to $1,500 for just the sandwich. So we've already gone up to $1,500. So
all right. Well, thanks so much for that insight. We appreciate it. So be careful with your salt intake at home. Renee, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
Stay with us. We're going to have a look at your traffic and weather right after this.